what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it is rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Arwin. How are you doing, Arwin? Good to have you.
Good afternoon. I'm doing great. A little cooked here in this freaking heat.
Lovely.
But,
I like this time of year.
manage.
Nice. I like this time of year.
Yeah, but you're so lucky because you got like an entire house, so you have cool spots and everything. I just got this freaking one room that's with windows that is facing pretty much the east. So every morning I just get the full blast of the sun all over the room, and yeah, the only way I can get out of it is basically to flee the house.
No bad thing. We could rattle through housekeeping while it's just you and I. There's no massive interruptions. Any signs of curvature, Arwin?
Not on the Earth anyway.
No,
Nope.
No Earth-based demonstrations of curvature thus far.
Nope.
Axial rotation, again, of the Earth-based variety.
Well, there's this rumor about gyroscopes and everything, but yeah, I don't buy it. I don't even know if that is really happening or what is causing that rotation, if it has anything to do with some kind of field or with the supposed axial rotation of the Earth. I doubt it. I doubt either one of them. But yeah, when it comes to scientific proof, no, absolutely not.
Well, the gyroscope thing is fine to sort of demolish their assertion that it shows the Earth spinning, i.e. use it in a debunking method, but making assertions makes us as guilty as them in terms of what they're doing. They're essentially they're affirming the consequent. It's a formal logical fallacy to say that if the Earth is a sphere and is turning, we will see a 15-degree deviation in a gyroscope. We see a 15-degree deviation in the gyroscope, so therefore the Earth is a spinning sphere. You know,
that doesn't make any sense, because if the Earth were a physical, literal globe, a geometrical globe shape, then the gyroscope should be turning not just the 15-degree rate, but in a very specific direction, depending on the position over the Earth. It should be extremely consistent. And I doubt that they've actually proven that, because yeah, that would be a big, huge thing. So I don't think it has anything to do with any theoretical turning of the Earth. It just doesn't coincide with what you're supposed to be finding, if that were the case. I doubt it. So whatever causes this supposed turn could be magnetics, could be just the vibration, whatever. I don't know. Have you really looked into the deeper videos about that?
I did 2 or 3 years ago, but no, the most recent thing I've encountered with them was a discussion with John Savage that I had on IRM, and you know, many of the things that he covered I was aware of. I don't know what else to say really.
Just talking about it, or did he actually show you?
Well, he was showing that there was no drift. So those were his demonstrations, and he'd made multiple adaptations based on what trolls had criticised him for doing or not doing, and eventually he kind of got sick of doing it, and showing the same thing over and over again, but with a mechanical gyroscope. So less relevant in terms of the current discussion, which is about an optical gyroscope. So that's not really what the heated debate is about. But I would say in either event, to debunk what they assert a gyro does to prove, with an affirming the consequence formal logical fallacy, is fine, but to then go forward and say, well, it actually proves ether turn, it's nonsense.
Yeah.
When they're finding it with an optical one, I mean, which is what the current discussion is about. So, there's plenty of arguments. Well, why does it show it in the optical one? Why doesn't it show it in the mechanical one? But there's never going to be a conclusion at the end of it, is my point, which is why I've dropped it into housekeeping, as it's just you and I. Let's move on. Any signs of a pressurized system next to a vacuum?
You gotta ask the guy from yesterday. No,
Okay.
I've heard this story about the pressure layers just push upon each other until it evaporates, and then there's the vacuum of outer space.
Yeah, so an lower pressure system next to a higher pressure system without the laws of entropy being applied, yeah, makes no sense at all. And every time they detail it without having an actual explanation for how you can have this lower pressure system.
Well, I can actually explain it within a container setting. That is, if there is a force being applied to like a field that overlays everything pretty much, then within the container, the buoyancy density layers will set in accordance to the direction of where the force is basically apparently motioning things. In this case, downwards. The heavy goes down, the light goes up. And yeah, the lighter things will actually settle high above, causing less pressure, because the force will have an effect through buoyancy on how pressure is actually divided. But that does not exclude that it will, as a whole body, try to find an equilibrium pressure-wise. So if there is no pressure somewhere, then it will try to escape, no matter the cost, no matter the forces applied. It's just once it finds its equilibrium, then in accordance to the forces overlaying that entire body of matter, then there will be lower pressure parts and higher pressure parts, depending on the direction of the forces being applied. So it sounds kind of complicated, but that is how to actually explain it properly.
But you're
It's
talking
like
about
putting it in a big tank. If you spin the tank,
I say you're in a container though. You're in a container, so I mean.
Yeah, absolutely, container. It's always pressure will always end up finding the equilibrium within the container, whatever
Right.
it may be, whatever the size may be. It will always be forced just by the material pressure to find its equilibrium, and then the acceleration alike forces set in, and then it divides itself in accordance to density and buoyancy. But first, just the material pressure, it will absolutely find an equilibrium within the totality of the container. So that's a very elaborate way to say no.
Fair enough. Let's move on to the molten iron core.
Oh yeah, the molten iron core. Who knows, But what? Yeah, maybe there is some kind of core out there. It's a myth. It's like a pure myth, no proof. But yeah, maybe it's there. Who cares? It's not going to be able to create magnetism, so it has no relevance at all to anything. Maybe there is maybe there's this bubble deep inside, and like dragons and unicorns live inside. It's just about as relevant. You don't know. You have no confirmation. It doesn't really add anything to the entire setup of the world. So yeah, who knows?
Right. What else we not covered? Gravity.
Yeah, I covered that a bit already with the pressurized system. It's certainly relevant. But yeah, mass being attracted to other mass, absolutely not going to happen. Even Newton recognized that was ridiculous, and then they basically used his, well, science fiction theory of gravitational pull anyway after his death. So yeah, basically used him as an undead puppet for their Freemason ball mechanics delusion for the world, which is very sad, because that way Newton has become very smeared, because I think he was a brilliant guy and he figured a lot of things out. Anyway, yeah. As for Einstein's theory, that's just pure science fiction. So bending of space-time is a very interesting concept to think about. But proof, yeah, that's very interesting. How could you even do that?
Fair enough. What about signs of Bill Miller?
What?
Bill Miller?
Who is that?
That's the question on nobody's lips.
Right.
Moving on. Signs of R?
I don't know who that is.
No, neither does anybody else. That's the problem.
Okay.
But well timed beautifully, Arwin. Any signs of R? Radius? Earth radius? Presupposition thereof?
Yeah, maybe one day the really, really advanced aliens will come in a giant moon-sized spaceship, and they'll have an expandable ruler that they can then hold over the globe Earth, and then, yeah, with a photograph from the distance show that indeed the Earth has a radius, because when you put a ruler next to it and you can show that, yeah, then you can actually kind of prove that it has a radius. So one day, in your silliest, deepest imagination, maybe one day R will be proven.
Maybe. Any signs up until now, though, Arwin, from you?
No. It's in the ground.
I think that's pretty much it. I think that concludes the housekeeping, does it not?
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, that was
Quiet
easy.
tunnel here.
What was it, 10 minutes? Just you and I rattled our way through that without any fuss.
Yeah, if I get the space, I can be a good filler. If I don't get interrupted by Riley and everything. So, but yeah, there was a subject I already talked to you earlier before the hangout that I wanted to check out. Wanted to spend some time on the show, and that is the new Google Maps.
Oh yes, definitely.
It's very interesting. So for everybody out there, Google Maps, like the standard function in the Google search engine, and you could just look up countries or whatever, a city, and then if you click Maps, you would get the basically a rectangular map of the world, and you can look it up and yeah, move around in it. It was very handy. Well, they basically merged the Google Earth with the map. So now it's no longer a rectangular map, it's a globe. Hooray. Yep. So the Google Maps now has a standard globe function within the search engine, because probably not enough people were actually downloading the special app for Google Earth because they didn't give a shit, because they probably don't believe the globe anyway, so they don't care about it. So they just force it upon you for free now. Goody. And I've already spotted some very interesting elements about it. Because earlier I was basically looking through the Google Maps in the rectangular version and noticing all kinds of scale differences. There's like a scale bar that just shows you how much of a relative distance, how much distance that is in reality. And if you don't zoom in or out and you move over the map, then that scale would change, which is very odd. Then, of course, there's the globe explanation. Yeah, it's unfolded from a globe. So, yeah, of course, the north part is going to be represented bigger. And, yeah, the scale is actually going to go down. Or that the scale is going to go up. It's relatively shown much bigger than it is in reality, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, that argument would make sense. But now they're using a globe. And guess what, Nathan?
The changes still apply.
Yes, it does.
Can you show us?
It's
Can you bring it
still,
up? Can you
yeah,
share it?
I
We'll have a
will.
little
Yeah, I
look.
got it
Because
ready.
I was looking at this earlier and I was like, it kind of looks like the Mercator projection, like they've represented the land not to scale so that it's useful as a navigation tool. But then as you zoomed out and zoomed in and started showing me the scale changes, it kind of, I was like, well, maybe it's not then, because, you know, as you roll around, it does actually look more Gall Petersy. Not that they're the right shape, but they're the right sort of proportional size. Just scroll around, Armin, just have a fiddle rather than me trying to detail it verbally, so you can explain
Okay.
what's
Yeah.
what.
So
We
what I
can't actually,
basically do, I don't
damn,
know. I'm gonna check.
we can't see the scale though. Down the
Yeah.
bottom
Can you
right.
see it in the corner? Is that?
No,
No,
can't
it's
see
just
it.
out of sight, is it?
Damn.
Maybe I'll fiddle around with the size.
I don't know how to solve that problem. Oh yeah, if you can make it windowed and then go to the top and just reduce it down. So use the up and down. You know, if you go to the top of the window and then just reduce it down a little bit, just slide it. There you go.
Like this? Can you
Yeah,
see
that's
it now?
And then move the whole window up.
Hmm?
Yeah,
Up?
then move
Does
the
that
window.
matter?
Yeah, but I still can't see it. So if you can move the window up now towards the top of the page, like the whole window, it'll bring the bottom up. Do you know what I mean?
Bottom up.
Yeah, just move.
This?
No. That's fine. But just move it up now. You've made it full screen again. Comedy of errors now.
Oh, I think that I'll just try to represent it.
No. Just listen. So minimize it again. So it's the smaller box. It's not filling the screen. Just double click it. Double click there. Right. Yeah. Then move it up the page. So grab it. So grab the window and move the window up.
Like that?
No, you've made it full screen again. So just move it up.
Yeah, I'm doing that, but like this. So now it's smaller again.
What I'm trying to get you to do is, from the top, reduce down the size of the window. Yeah, vertically. There you go. Keep going a little bit more. And then move that up the page so that we can... That'll probably do. I can see the scale now just. I don't know if it's appearing to the audience. That'll do. You can see the scale.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I'll just check it on my iPad, but I'm pretty sure that the audience can now see it. Can you circle it with your mouse? If not, I'm going to make an adjustment.
All the way in the right down corner. I think it's just... Let me...
It's critical that it's there, so I'm going to double check on what I use to monitor it. Just give me a second.
Yeah, I'm moving it sideways. Ah, damn it.
Let's see if it's on page.
You know what?
Damn, it's not. God damn it. Right, hold on. Don't worry, we'll get there. There we go. I've got it all on page now.
Right.
So if you can circle it with your mouse, just so they know what you're talking about.
But everybody can basically see in the down right corner, the right down corner, there is a little bar, and there next to it says 50 kilometers, because that is what that total width represents here. So I'm gonna zoom out a little, and then it changes. It's logical. So yeah, I'm gonna roll around on this Earth. Let me zoom out for a moment. See, they really globified it, and it's very smooth, by the way. So it seems like it improved a little bit in that sense. It's not blocky as it used to be. Looks better. But yeah, anyway, let's see. For example, Africa. Now you can see that the size is 500 kilometers like this. So now let's move to Antarctica. Oh! It completely changed. It changed like more than 50% at least. So yeah, whatever's going on.
So what gives, Arwin? It's just a globe. Surely it'd just be accurate, right? We're on a globe. This represents what we have on the globe. Surely it's just going to be right.
Just look at it. 200 kilometers is like this 1 centimeter thing. Bang. Comes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, this is not the same scale. This zoom is on the same level. It's all now in globe shape. So why is the scale changing like this? That doesn't make any freaking sense whatsoever. Okay, let's go to South America. Same thing going, bang. So that's kind of odd, isn't it? Now it's getting bigger again. And I see, same thing happens here at the north. Look at Greenland. Just look, Greenland, 1 centimeter here.
Hey,
Roughly
Travis.
1 centimeter is 200 kilometers.
Morning.
We go down to Africa, bang. And suddenly, yeah, the same width is a lot more. So yeah, Google, what are you doing? Why is this Earth not to scale? Why are these continents being misrepresented like some weird old lady facelift being stretched all over the place and not actually just showing it to scale? What's going on here? So, yeah, it looks exactly like the classroom globe. But apparently, when you measure it up, yeah, the scales, they're not correct. They're not consistent.
You just scroll around the globe now, just while it's on screen. I'm going to move it off screen in a minute, but just give us a kind of, a general glance of what we've got on this. Like you say, it's very classroom.
A beautiful animation.
It is a good
very
animation.
Smooth.
But this is going to have to run on mobile apps and stuff because it's the more commonly used Google Maps as opposed to Google Earth. And as you say, that's a program you've got to download. But
And they still got like the white spot, the south. It's hilarious.
So there you have it. I'm going to take it off screen now, Arvin. But thank you very much for showing us that this morning. I didn't quite understand what you meant until visually you actually showed me. So I'm glad you've done it here.
All right, no problem. Oof.
How are you, Travis?
So, hey, Travis.
Hey guys, good morning.
Good morning.
I just got up, so I went outside to check out the moon again. So,
And
looks like it looks like the Terminator line is a little bit more acute in terms of being a straight line. I think the other day it was, I guess it still was a straight line. It was just more of a, I don't know, just interesting. So,
just out of interest, Travis,
yeah.
before Flat Earth, were you ever interested in the moon or
No.
watching it, looking at it and observing it and paying attention to it?
No, not at all. Yeah.
Fair enough. It's just, it seems to be a fairly commonly, I mean, I was interested. I had a telescope. I was, spent many hours cricking my neck looking at Venus and various other things. But that was prior to Flat Earth. And if anything, I've looked at it a lot less since Flat Earth. I got rid of my telescope just before we installed a nursery, so I haven't had one for ages. So literally it's become less. But the theme that I seem to hear is people literally, up until the point that they come to Flat Earth and realise there could be a deception that's based on a lot of sky information, up until that point they haven't paid any attention to it. So people haven't looked at the moon, they haven't looked at the sun, they haven't looked at the stars, they generally don't pay a great deal of attention to what's going on in the heavens.
Yeah. Well, why would you? When we got priests that know everything about it. And
well, I'll answer that because it's...
them.
Well, the reason is simple, because it's absolutely spectacular, and that's why. So there's never a time that goes by that I haven't cricked my head a few degrees and gone, wow! Obviously, not if there's a cloudy night or whatever, but you know what I'm getting at.
It's just the sights.
It's just a sight
really
to behold. Exactly.
And
It's just
crisp and all that.
Exactly. It's just a glorious sight to behold. The same goes for the moon. The sun less so for obvious reasons, but what I'm driving at here. It's just a lot of people don't pay attention to these things, and you can find that you'll come to Flat Earth and then go, right, I've got to start paying really close attention to the moon, and it's like it's cyclical. So everything that it does and its movements, and I'm not denying that there's impossible moons. Same goes for eclipses, but it's one that a lot of it's already been well and truly documented, tracked, pegged down. Anyway,
but with Flat Earth, the mystery becomes very big. So it draws you in even more. It's like, wow, what is that? Literally every time I look outside, I'm just like, oh wow, the moon, stars, so beautiful. What the hell is that?
Well, it's a way of tracking a month, but just not the month that they tell us. So month, whatever you want to call it. It's a cycle that we're no longer paying attention to.
Yeah.
But still,
so
what is
Nathan,
it? What causes that? Why
causes the moon?
does it? yeah, what causes the moon? What causes the stars? What is that? Why is it there? You
Well, this
know?
is the point of flat Earth for me. It's we don't know. So when people get a bit freaky about that and start going nuts, for me it's the reverse. It's suddenly the world is a world of wonder. It's not the Truman Show pulling down the blind and going, look, this is what we know already. All the discoveries have been made. It's a case that we literally don't know why the sky is blue anymore. We have no idea what causes those things. We're told there is a rhetoric, but that doesn't mean that's what it is. So suddenly everything is more wonderful than it was before.
Yeah, agreed. That's what I meant. It's just like, wow, what is that? Why is it there? It just makes me want to know.
Yeah. Hi, Blue Marble. Isn't Blue Marble that kid that bitched about his age after being here?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Oh, get lost. You know, if you,
He's got a Mario hat.
if you're going to come here, right, don't plead afterwards that you've been badly treated because of your age. You know, because I'll just kick you out. You know, don't come here moaning that you're being. Oh, look, I'm only this age, and this is how they treated me. No, sod off then. Don't come back.
No, we treat him like an equal. We're gonna treat you like an adult here. If you have the balls to come in here,
exactly.
yeah, we're gonna treat you equally, just like everyone else.
Precisely. That was much better phrased, Darwin. In other words, we've treated him no different to anybody else. If he had poor arguments, he might have got people annoyed, which is always the case with globeheads. But ultimately speaking, if you're going to go into the comment section afterwards and then plead about your age, it's like, oh, right, well, that's just, as far as I'm concerned, a dirty, underhanded trick that people can play. So if you're going to come here and play those games, you don't get to play here, because it's not a playground. So sod off, back to your Transformers, you little brat. Again, this is the best the globe has got. I titled the last show, The Best the Globe Has to Offer, or words to that effect. And this is what they've got. Underage minors being sent in. Where are the champions of the globe? Where are the people addressing what we state time and time again in housekeeping? Where's the evidence for those things? Why aren't we presented by decent, intelligent people? Why is it that we're being given kids and idiots? Why is that?
Well, because they're vulnerable to it. They have like an image to uphold, and that image is all based on the perception that they are in an authority position, that they have knowledge that makes them important. And if they then expose themselves to people like us that are actually looking for the truth, that are actually figuring out things, then they will become vulnerable. So like lords and nobility, they hold themselves up in their huge mansions to look really glorious and rich and respected, and then they just send a bunch of hirelings, a bunch of fools that'll do anything for payment. They'll send them in to do their dirty work for them, or try to anyway. Give the appearance that something is happening. I think Bill Miller's.
Yeah.
He's eating pens.
Bye bye. Bill Miller. People are trolling with Bill Miller's name. That's brilliant. You got to take your hat off sometimes to the trolling.
Yeah, they're very quick.
So Nathan, with your telescope observations, do you see pretty much the similar thing that the P900 would see? You just see a watery.
No.
Okay. So
that was another irritating thing. I think it was Eric DeBay that was the first to do that. If it's not Eric DeBay, I don't care, and I'm not trying to single Eric DeBay out. It's just the video I remember, and I'm sure there was. It's too long ago for me to remember who came out with the explanation. And not knowing how P900 worked, I didn't understand the the anomaly that was being demonstrated with these kind of translucent, moving, wibbly wobbly stars. I'd never seen that through my telescope. That just wasn't what I was presented with, and it seemed odd. And then a globe head, whose name I can't remember, maybe someone will jog my memory in the comments, explained how you could get the focus to work. And from memory, again, I don't own a P900, so it hasn't cemented in my memory. If I'm wrong, I don't care. I think he put a piece of paper in front of it and then got it to actually focus on the star and look like it was supposed to look. Hey, Jose.
Yo, good morning.
How you doing? What's going on?
Pretty good. I think it was Einar Kusk. I don't know where he's from. The young kid. He did a small documentary behind the curve or something. he was recording on the streets. It was nighttime, and he was with the P900 with the light streets, and he said like, look at this, the same effect to the stars, and he see all the little wobbly because the focus whatever doesn't set up well. So if you see a light on the street light post and you zoom in, you see the same effect with the stars. That's what I see. It was
Right.
debunked that way.
So it's a focusing anomaly. Hey, Sleeping Warrior.
Yo,
It's a
yo.
focusing anomaly with the P900 in essence, and you know, I maybe I could replicate it with the telescope, but I just don't think so.
So, we've got housekeeping out of the way, have we?
Yeah, housekeeping done ages ago.
Great.
You're late.
Where's Ranty? Has anyone spoke to Ranty?
No, not recently.
I seen a comment in chat before, just as I was coming in, saying, "Why has Ranty not proved that he's ordered it?" And I think that's a fair shout. So
No, I
Ranty,
can give the
if you're
answer.
listening-
I don't mind giving the answer to that because I know the answer. So the GoFundMe funds or whatever it's called take about 5 or 6 days to actually come through and hit his account. So I think it probably hits his account this Thursday. As soon as it does, he'll order it. You know, but in essence, he hasn't got the money in his account to order it with. So I didn't labour the point when he told me that. I was like, oh, I'm not going to get it for a few days. I was like, don't worry about it. Just keep people updated about what the score is, which is obviously not done. But I don't mind. He's told me, and I've got a daily show that I can update people on it. But yeah, of course, he will order it as soon as he possibly can. He's as keen as anybody to get hold of that camera.
So whoever it was that said that, I didn't catch whose name it was, but whoever it was that said that, there's your reason. There's another issue I want to address. George Nathan Oakley. Obviously, there's been back and forth. George has been, he's rang the board about Brian Mullen. He says he didn't report him, and he probably did report him, but then Brian magically vanished. And George claims it had nothing to do with him unless we can all prove that it did. And he's relying on it being a total coincidence that he's gone off YouTube because of, and it's nothing to do with him. Anyway, he did a response video after coming into Nathan's Hangout. And in the response video, he claimed that he wasn't referring to Brian Mullen when he put the initials BM. He was referring to Bill Miller, whoever Bill Miller is. So obviously I did a call-out video calling that was rubbish because he justified it by saying that, well, I put this post on many of the popular threads so that everybody could see it. But in only one thread did he cite this Bill Miller. So if it was true that Bill Miller was who he was citing, then it would have had to have been replicated in all the other threads, because otherwise all the other people in all of the other threads, of which I was one, would not know that Bill Miller was the citation that he was referring to. So obviously he's clearly lying, because I did not know in the thread that I saw it in that Bill Miller was the citation. I saw it as Brian Mullen like everybody else did. The whole thread was talking about Brian Mullen or Brian Mullen. So to have this Bill Meyer on an edited thread deep inside someone else's thread, comment thread, is kind of deceptive. True that he was doing it on all of the other threads. Bill Meyer would also have to be on all of the other threads, and it wasn't. So obviously, George has been laughed at like a lot in the last 24 hours. Everybody knows that George has lied. Now, this is where it gets a little bit psychological, because the question then becomes, well, if it was me that had made a deliberate lie, it would be hung on forever. I would forever be known as Bill Miller, on referencing that particular lie. And I wonder how many ballers are going to stand by and support George, or pretend that they've not seen it and ignore it and don't address it, and it'll go away, sweep it under the mat, and just hope that it dies down. And obviously, that's what they're hoping for. And I'm going to still sit on this, because if it was me that was lying, they would do exactly the same to me. But not only would they do that to me, they would ring my board of directors or whatever and try and get me sacked. Well, nobody's really interested in trying to get the guy sacked, even though I'm sure that there would be offences under ethical codes of conduct relating to being honest and not misleading the public in this context. But nonetheless, I think it's abhorrent that people on the Ball Earth side are condoning this by not forcing the man to apologise. They're allowing it to go on, hoping that it'll get swept under the mat. And I think that you guys are just ridiculous. You're disgusting and ridiculous. Now, it's one thing to make a claim and get it wrong, but it's another thing to lie, cover it up, and then try and hope that nobody spot that you're covering up was done 3 days after the original claim that you're seeking to rely on. You're a moron, George. Just come out and apologise. Apologise to Brian for being a shit stirrer and admit that you lied, and then it'll all go away. Or carry on, and I'll just mention it every single day on Nathan's show, and I'll dedicate 5 minutes to it, and I'll hog the mic, and I'll tell everybody all about it, because you did lie. It's up to you, George. Come out and be a man and admit that you lied. Or don't, but you'll have 5 minutes every single day dedicated to it. In fact, I might even just get it on record so I don't have to do it. I'm done.
So I've got Jem Panda in the chat who's currently looking for children of the flat earth, from what I can gather from the advertising he's doing for me on Discord. And it seems we've got, hello, Isaiah. Oh, got a lot of noise from Isaiah.
No globe.
Can you hear us? No globe? Anyway, so yeah, so it seems rather than actually looking for Paul,
that?
how you doing? Can you hear us?
Is that the real Paul Voigt?
I doubt it.
Well, maybe.
Is it actually
Just
real?
being
Is it
trolled.
actually real Paul?
I will get to the end of my
Paul Voigt,
point.
come on,
So,
'cause he needs-
hold on, Anthony. So, we've got Jem Panda who's looking for flat earth children, right? That's what he's advertising for currently. And we've got minors being sent here to debate by the Globe side. I'd just like to point out, will Jem be covering this salacious story of the minors that get sent here rather than adults? You know, the men sending the children to do their job for them. Yeah? I just wondered if Jem was going to cover that rather salacious story about the Globe head children, the minors sent here by you guys. Just wondered. Because obviously there's no, disclaimer on this show. We're not saying don't come if you're underage, but we wouldn't expect people to actually intentionally send minors here. But that's what seems to be happening, because we know Blue Marble debates with Rhetoric and talks on his show. So he's clearly a welcome fold member of that Globe cult that you guys represent. So why are you sending minors here? That's what I would like to know, and I want Jem Panda to investigate immediately. That is all.
Don't you have to be 18 to have a YouTube account?
I have no idea. I should really know.
I just find it interesting psychologically that none of the ballers are calling George out to at least apologise for lying, and not even if he doesn't apologise for the Brian thing. I mean, let's be honest, he obviously feels strongly about it, that strong that he has to do it. But he should be called out for lying, because he's been caught red-handed. He covered his tracks by adding these messages 3 days later to then create plausible deniability, and it's complete bullshit. So come on, ballers, why have you not called him out? Why are you just pretending that it can be like swept under the mat? Because if it was me, it would be all over the place. So how many ballers are going to let this be ignored, and how long is it going to be ignored for?
I seen you, Anthony, and all the flat earthers calling out all the flat earthers for misinterpreting and saying stuff that is not right, just confronting them. They should confront George, because George threw him under the bus. 20 minutes before this show started, George put up a video criticizing Jem Panda's Discord because they kicked him out yesterday for whatever reason. I didn't see the whole thing. I seen the first 5 minutes. So they should talk about it, because it's true. We're all humans. We all got issues, and we got to put aside if we're flat or globe. If you got a personal issue and you want to be on the record, just put a video out there. Why not?
So he was kicked out of Jem's Discord for some reason, and he's done a response video because of it.
Yes, apparently, yes. I didn't. I mean, I don't know what happened. I just saw a little bit, like 5 minutes of George's video. He just put it up, like, at 8:45, something like that.
I'm gonna go watch that, because I hope to God they kicked him out for lying, and that as a response. Because if it was a response, then that's fair play. If it was kicked out for some other reason that was to do with balliness, then that's not going to have any effect. But I hope he's been kicked out for a good reason. He deserves to be kicked out until he apologizes for lying.
What I see,
if it was me.
Sorry. What is interesting about that video? He say he deleted the Nathan Oakley's responses now these last few days. I think he didn't retract. He say, I'm just gonna delete all this. I don't want no drama. I want to put just real science stuff in my channel. I don't want to have that in my profile or some shit like that.
Hide the fact
look
that
it up,
man.
man.
Lying. That's what that is. So
yeah, look that up. I'm looking forward for your response video, Anthony. It's gonna be good.
I don't think I need to do a response video now. He seems to have deleted the Nathan response video, right? Thankfully, I've got that saved, so I think I might re-upload that myself, because now he doesn't have the copyright for it if he's deleted it, unless he has actually deleted it. But in any event, it's worth the post, because in that video, I didn't even watch the last half of it, but the bit that we can rely on is like 25 minutes into it. But I mean, come on, apologise, George. You were caught lying, and if it was me, I'd be expected to and pushed to apologise by people like Nathan and Ranty. I'd be pushed. So why would it be any different for you? So it's interesting that you've cited a video from like your most recent video that I've just found out about 26 minutes 52. Quote, Twit is a liar along with Captain Bullshit and who is the other Ray? I don't know who Ray is. But in any event, you're the one that's the liar. So you're calling Bob Nodal a fraud. You're now calling Twit a liar. I mean, Twit is an idiot, but I don't know whether she's a liar or not. But Captain Bullshit, trouble causer, but maybe I don't know whether he's a liar or not. But I just find it odd that you're calling people a liar when it's the exact thing that you've done yourself.
You missed out.
Come on, ballers.
Missed out Jesse. So Jesse was obviously either too stupid to recognise that George was running a quote-unquote experiment, or he was just flat out duped because he was lying. So either way, you know, and the other, to add insult to injury, George has pointed out that anybody who would make that assumption, Jesse being one of them, lacks cognitive, what was it he said? Lacked critical thinking skills. So clearly Jesse, yeah, George has said it all about your critical thinking skills, mate. Your assumption proves it based on George's disclaimers about the people who made the assumption you made. So yeah, you're either too stupid to realise that George was lying, or you've been caught up in an experiment and too stupid to realise that George was just experimenting on you. Not that George understands what an experiment is. It's too stupid to realise that, of course. The context is completely incorrect, but George doesn't understand science and wouldn't understand it if it slapped him in the face.
Oh yeah, can I read the description, Nathan, on George's video?
Yeah, you can do what you want.
It says on the caption. It says on the main screen. It says Twit is a liar that cannot be trusted. Irrefutable fact. Captain Bullshit, Ray, and Twit should be kicked to the curb. And then in the description it reads, "This shows that Twit of Gem's Discord server deceived and lied to me." But what about the deception and the lie that you've done to everybody about Brian Mullen? But anyway, she claims that she asked me to join the server to discuss the Mullen issue, and that I would have to leave once finished. This is a bold-faced lie. I've included all the communication between Twit and myself dating back to May of this year. Judge for yourself. Jem declared in the server that he had no idea what was agreed to, but this was what Twit messaged me. Quote, Chat Earth yesterday, 6:34. George, I invited you in just to speak about the accusations. I set it up under the condition that you were going to be invited back only to discuss the situation. Jem and the mods were aware of this before I sent you the first message. Twit claims that Jem was aware of the conditional invite, yet as he stated on the server, he was not. So who was lying, Twit or Jem? I read Jem's comment and I got booted by Twit as I was beginning my reply. Thanks all. To be honest, I would say, George, that you deserve to be kicked. And I don't think you need to explain it. I think you've been caught red-handed, and I think that Twit was probably right to kick you. Probably right to invite you to hear your side of it. Probably right to kick you because you probably didn't do something you said you were going to do. And it's probably your own fault. That's the way I read that. And if you don't like it, George, tough. Apologise for lying, because I would have to do it, and all the ballers should push you to apologise for lying, because you did lie. You were referring to Brian Mullen when you said BM. You were not referring to Bill Miller. Don't be ridiculous.
Yeah, he's been exposed. I mean, like you say, I don't think it's necessary to do any more responses to George. He's been exposed for what he did to Brian. He's been exposed for lying in the aftermath and trying to weaselly cover his tracks. And yeah, now that is done, he's exposed. That's the end of it, really.
Yeah, and it seeks as a distraction only to call somebody else a liar. Now, I don't care whether she did or didn't lie to you. I'm just bothered about whether you're going to apologise, and I'm more bothered that the ballers push you to apologise, because the ballers have got an obligation to tell this guy that he's been out of line and he needs to apologise. So why isn't it not being done yet? There should be a comment on there should be a video on his channel right now apologising to the flat earthers just because he lied and he was caught out and he hasn't done it. So come on, ballers. Do you not have a duty of responsibility to your fellow ballers, or are you just going to ignore it and hope that this gets swept under the mat? Anyway. So, where were we before I derailed the conversation?
Well, Alwyn showed something very interesting with Google Maps. Have you seen this in the Skype chats?
Nope.
Okay, well, in essence... Well, maybe Arwen, you were the one who presented it. Maybe you want to just explain it in brief to Anthony.
All right. Yeah, I've been looking into Google Maps and especially the different scales on the previously flat rectangular map that they used just in the browser. So where when you look up a country or something and you then click maps, you get like you got the rectangular map. You could move over it, and it had different scales in different continents. So it was, yeah, I thought that was very odd before, and yeah, then realized, okay, this map is supposedly being unfolded from a globe, so that makes sense why, especially to the far north and the far south, things are not to scale. They are actually smaller as than they are being represented. But then,
Do you want to show it again? Oh, in a mess. I'll show this again. I think it's worthy of
okay,
bringing up
yeah,
on
but
screen.
anyway,
I'll do my fiddles if you can do yours.
all right.
You play with it as if you play with yours.
I said I'll do my fiddles, as in I'll fiddle with the screen so that you can see the scale, because we had a terrible trouble to get it on screen because it's bottom right hand corner, just the way my page is laid out. But hopefully it'll just go smoothly when Arwen shares the screen in a moment, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about. So for the audience's benefit, if you weren't here at the beginning of this show, in the bottom right hand corner, Arwen, so you need to not minimise but reduce the page size. Keep going. There we go. Hopefully I'll just check that's on screen. Yes, it is. So if you can circle it with your mouse, Arwen, or I'll do it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, now when you zoom out, it becomes a globe, and even when you zoom in, it's still kind of globish. So they really made a very smooth globe model now instead of the rectangular map that they used before. And yeah, you would think, okay, things are now going to be to scale because it's no longer being unfolded from a globe. Guess what? It is. It's still not to scale. The scales are still different. So you can see this, Riley, if you look in the right bottom corner, there's like a, yeah, you can see like a bar, and next to it, it says now currently 500 kilometers. So this is 500 kilometers, this little bar distance. And if you now move, you see, oh, it's shrinking. It's shrinking. So it's not to scale, even though it is on a globe. And then you go all the way down to Antarctica. Ah, look, scale's different again.
Ah, so they're manipulating it to try and fit it in onto a sphere, right?
It's not to scale. So yeah, they're supposedly putting the maps on this globe, but it's not the same sizes.
No, but they told you
It's
that ahead of
absolutely
time.
ridiculous. It's just not the same sizes, despite it being represented on the globe. So whatever they're showing us here, it's not to scale.
Yeah, but they admitted that, Arwen. They admitted to that not being to scale.
Yeah, but why would they do that?
Well, the why is a second question. The fact that they happily came out saying, we did it and it's good because it makes sense to do it. Why is because it makes sense. You know, gravity is magic, yada, yada. The one question that I have is I was recently on Discord, and I mentioned that they had, when they had a satellite millions of miles away from Earth watching the backside of the moon past the Earth, that none of the clouds moved in the 4 or 5 hour span that it took the moon to go through the whole event there. But they all say they see cloud movement, and I was wondering what to do in that situation.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I hope you saw that, Riley.
Yeah, I did. The dog started kicking off because they heard a noise.
But pretty bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
So even though it's supposedly this is to scale, this is all literally on a globe, zoomed in at the same distance, and it's not to scale. So yeah, even if the Earth was supposedly a ball, it's not a ball that would actually look like this, because they discontorted everything. So it's almost like they put this weird little facelift on it, stretching things and shrinking things, cutting things down. So this is not actually what the official globe is supposed to be looking like. It is so bizarre.
You just go to the top. So Brandon Toy, shout out for the super chat, says, what happened to the polar ice cap? Didn't we have a big ice continent at the top of the globe a few years ago? Question mark.
Nah.
Yeah, I always. This is used as a thingy point.
It's not there.
What's it called? Where things change in the history and you remember it a different way.
Oh, Mandela effect. Yeah, I
this is
remember.
used as a map.
I remember exactly that. Jesse Spott's covering exactly that, showing the maps that actually had it in his library. So he's brought out a map and showed, look, here we go. There's the ice at the top. Where's it gone now?
Yeah, I agree. That was there when we were kids, and it's not there now.
Although, to be fair, I don't think they actually show the ice.
Yeah, but
Because
the
in
point is that we
Antarctica,
were
there
told-
definitely is going to be some ice, but they just show the land masses. So there may in real life be ice here, and they just don't represent it.
The point is, we were told that there was an ice cap there when we were kids, and I agree. But I'm not going to say that this is a Mandela effect. By the way, somebody was talking about the moon before. I'm not sure which one it was, but for me, the moon proves that it is a flat plane that we're living on. Because if you think about tidal locking, and bearing in mind that something's in an orbit, the chances of tidal locking being the reason for why we see the same face of the moon, but it rotates the further around the so-called globe that you go, is basically zero. It's virtually impossible for that to even be, because the synchronicity of that rotation to Earth would require an incredible amount of precision, and it would never happen as the result of any kind of impact. So for me, the moon is a flat Earth proof. The reason why it rotates as it goes round the Earth is because the observer is viewing it from a different angle, and they're rotating. So if everybody faces south, then it won't rotate. But the guys in the north look south when they see it, and the guys in the south look north when they see it, and that's why it appears to be the opposite way around. But that's a flat Earth proof. That's not a sphere proof, and it's nonsense. This tidal locking.
Check it out. They even have like the satellite version of it, so-called, with cloudies.
As far as tidal locking goes, if you think about it, if you're standing near water, when tidal locking is happening, you from one side of the from one in one ear, they're telling you that your body is a finely tuned instrument that can feel everything until your body can feel something that proves it's a flat earth, and
Yeah.
then your body can be fooled in an instant on everything.
That is so true.
Can you feel the water being put? If water was being sucked away, there was this force sucking water away. I don't know if you've ever seen how much force it takes to suck water away, but there's some force. You would have felt something.
Shout out to Sarah Christina. She's in hospital. Hospital at the moment. She's ingested far too much ball earth bullshit, and it's made her sick. So get well soon, Sarah Christina. I noticed that George was in chat before.
What's the cure?
George Nathan, and he's non-repentant. He says, "Just tuned in, Riley. Do it. Spend as much time as you want on me, lol. In the meantime, kiss my ass." See, it's that kind of defiance. Kind of defiance that personifies you, George. You come across as this mild, meek, well-spoken gentleman, but you won't admit and accept that you've lied and been caught out, and still won't apologise. What kind of a measure of a man are you, George?
But I think that should be the last words on it. I mean, I agree with you entirely, and ultimately speaking, he's been exposed in the past tense.
Hey, Nathan, I found another weird inconsistency. Very
Cool.
bad one.
Excellent. Let's stick you up.
So, yeah, if you present me,
Yeah, you're up.
I already showed like how the kilometer bar is going to be shifting over the maps, right? You can see it right there. Now check this out. When I use the satellite imagery, it's the exact same size, right? You can see it. It's not shifting. This is so odd.
No, but we
So
are.
either this is
no,
an
no,
error.
no. It's no. What's
not
happening is
following
as
what
you're
you're
moving around, what it's rendering is changing. So isn't it your zoom length that's changing?
No, you have to like scroll to zoom in and out, and I've kept it as I'm just scrolling. So I'm scrolling at the relative same distance, but yeah, the scale bar is not shifting on this.
Oh,
But when I turn back to the maps, see, it's shifting again. This is so weird.
Well. Very strange.
Yeah, that is interesting. So why isn't their model being predictable at this point?
See, it just
you know
it's
what?
stuck.
You know what? I would make
Model.
a note of that, because within a week, they will fix that problem.
Yeah, probably.
Well,
I think they probably forgot to to put that function for the satellite picture version. Anyway, spotted an error, Google. We're on top of you. We know what you're doing.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible, and a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, you know exactly what to do, but if you liked the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you have not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!